Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you doing there?
I'm
Welcome.
good.
Hello there, Gary. Hello there, Henning. Welcome, Catherine. How's everybody doing, Judy? On a Tuesday evening. Nice and cold here, Gene Hudson. So, how are you doing there, Kelly Joe?
I'm doing good. We're expecting a storm around 7, so I got time to do the show. So that's a good
Mm,
thing.
I think the whole country's being hit.
Yeah. So,
All right, let's try our guest here, see if he's got his audio fixed. Let's
okay.
bring him in. Hello there, you got it taken care of?
I hope
You're
so.
live.
Much better.
All right, you
All
can hear
right,
me.
so
Okay,
introduce yourself.
cool. Well, how you guys doing? It's a little rainy and windy here in Tennessee tonight. But I'm Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot, or Jim, and I,
Nice to meet you, sir.
I talked Kelly into letting me come on. I'm a nuisance in the chat room, so I figured I need to come on and at least say hi to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always got a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like a little interview with you and see how you got into get Bigfoots and how it came to be. So, can you tell the folks a little bit about that?
All righty. Let's see. Well, we've been in Tennessee about 30 years. I'm what you call an explorer and an adventurer. I was in the Air Force for 10 years. I traveled around the world. I got Tennessee. I run EastTennesseeCaves.com for a year, so I'm a big caver. And I got into we're also been panning for gold and prospecting for gold for forever. And so fishermen, everything, all kinds of, it's all outdoor stuff. And like I said, we've been about 30 years, and the Bigfoot thing came up one night. The first time it came up was the first time I was out backwoods camping. I was about 4 miles out in Big South Fork, and by myself. A friend was supposed to come out, but he didn't come out, which was fine with me. Anyway, woke up in the middle of the night and something violently was shaking my tent, and that was the first time I realized there's something else in the woods that could shake a tent. At that time I knew nothing about Bigfoots and stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was kind of began. That was probably 10 years ago, at least 10 or 15. And and then the second experience, me and my son, we was down in kind of southeast Tennessee, prospecting for gold, and we'd been down there for about a week prospecting this one creek, and that was about the sixth night. I think it was about the sixth night. These hounds were running something, and they was just, I'm gonna make these short, I guess. That way you can kind of see what you think about them. But anyway, that we heard a herd of something, and I don't know, it's like 10 or 15 buffalo coming at us in the middle of the night. And I sat up on the side of my cot. Now Matthew, my son, he was sleeping in a little metal camper outside. And anyway, we waited for this thing to go through us, because it actually came in. It was a sound of feet pounding, and it was like I thought I was going to die. I was looking at the tent and waiting for a herd to run over us. Anyway,
Wow.
it came through us, and it was like in my head, and then it went past us. And we've always called it the ghost herd, because what was that about? Because we went out and we talked to our neighbors, or there was a little Airbnb, and we talked to them the next morning, and they came out with their guns in the middle of the night, and they were trying to figure out what was the commotion. We didn't know what it was, but in the middle of that, I hear we're 10 feet away from the creek, and I hear this doosh, doosh, doosh coming up the creek, and it's about up to our knees. And we've been prospecting all week, and it's coming, and it's two-legged, and it's jogging, and so it goes past us. Now I was still in shock from the original herd that ran over us, and so that's when I poked my head out the tent or through the screen and said, "Matt, did you hear that?" And he said, "What about the herd?" And I said, "What about those 2 feet? That was 2 feet." And so I was just adamant because that blew my mind. There is something that was big enough to run and had 2 feet. And so he's like, "Yeah, that was 2 feet. That was 2 feet. But what about the herd?" But our conversation was hushed very quickly because they were still running up and down the creek. And I think Matt said they passed us, what, 6 times?
7 times in the creek.
7 times. So that was a super amazing experience. We never saw nothing. All my experiences have been what I've heard, but I've had a witness. That's the biggest thing. I'm not crazy because, first thing I did was say, "Matt, do you heard that?" Because, when something like that happens to you in the woods, you want confirmation because you think you might be crazy.
Oh, yeah. Now, did the B&B people say that they heard the herd too?
Yeah. They'd come out. It was about, what did they say, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? Because they had clocks. We were camping, but I think they come out about 3 or 4, and they came out with their guns, and they were like, "What was that?" And we're like, "I don't know." That's why we went and checked the tracks. I'll put more details in the story because it's a long story because we had about a 20-30 minute experience.
Wow.
But there was I heard one time I heard him kick one of the dogs. You could hear the dog go, and it went quiet. And it was up creek at this time. And then just a little bit later, I hear the dog down creek. So it had kicked it, picked it up, held its mouth shut, and moved it down creek. So that was one of the things.
The Bigfoot did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It actually, we heard it kick it and go, you heard the dog go, oop, a kind of a bark, oop, at the same time. And it went quiet. And we didn't know what it was, but later on we figured it out because it had went down. It now started barking down the creek. It was the lead dog. There was 3 dogs. And I believe they were playing with them. That's what my opinion is. They were playing with these hounds, running up and down the creek, having fun. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. That was kind of the big parts of that.
Yeah.
But like I said, Matt's he's got the detail. He's got like photographic memory. I just remember the main thing to me was this 2-legged thing going doosh, 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 coming up the creek. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to it. And I just cannot believe I'm hearing this. And it runs past us. And we're 10 feet from the creek. So that was, that was, like I said, that was southeast Tennessee. And then the big one was about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. This is when we kind of got our real PTSD.
Could we talk about the Lennon's Creek?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
But someone should talk about something else. But now we had been went up to Kentucky, up near Stearns, and that Kentucky borderline. I know everybody likes the LBL. That whole Kentucky Tennessee borderline is hot. I don't care if anybody says that place is hot. It's all that wooded area.
You have to tell the folks what LBL means, please.
Oh, okay. The land between the lakes. I think it's where Grizzly's going and everybody. That's one of the favorite spots. That's what north.
West.
That's west. Northwest Tennessee and that area up there. But but we were up near Stearns, we were down in the Kentucky. We had me and the wife had drove out and we found a place I thought would be really squatchy, and I was kind of like at a squat. I was like a Bigfoot hunter, kind of like this would be cool. So we took a bunch of trail cams out, and that's when we got in trouble because me and Matt took some trail cams out, and when we were taking them out, me and him split this one creek, and he went left and I went right, and I had the ooby joobies, and I've only had it twice. The night that thing shook my tent, I had the EBGBs, and then that time I had the EBGBs. So we put trail cams out, and we came back, and I met back up with Matt, and I just felt like something was watching me, and I think that's what one of the things that made something in the woods mad at us when we put trail cams out. So that night we had set up a tent, and we would set up we were backwoods, back on a trail, and we'd set up. And I got up about 2 or 3 in the morning to go out and pee, and I was standing there peeing, and I got the EBGBs, and so I turned around to face it, even though I was still peeing. I was like, I don't know. But on the table there was a hunting knife, and I picked it up, and I was in the military, and I picked it up when I was in Turkey, and I was admiring how it fit my hand, and I held it up into the darkness because it was pitch dark and pitch quiet, and I thought to myself, don't mess with us. And I think I provoked something when I did that, because it was just a thought, but I was still like, don't mess with us, kind of thinking. And so I was going back into the tent, and I saw red eyes, and I kind of looked to the left, looked to the right, look up and down, and I could see that whatever was looking at me was in a bush. And so I thought, raccoon, deer. I had a red headlight, LED light, so
Oh, okay.
So it could have reflected any color, I guess. And so I got ready to get back in the tent, and I told Matt jokingly, "There's something out there, red eyes watching us," and he didn't care. I didn't care, and we laid down, and it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't no time, and I heard this sound like trees above us were shaking, like they were just something was very, very, very angry. Matt swears up and down they were knocking the trees above us.
That's the only way I remember it. I remember the knock before. I remember the brushes.
Yeah.
The trees shaking. I remember the knock before the trees shaking.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
they say that they knock.
Yeah. Well, I think they were up there, the trees, shaking the trees and pulling trees together and banging them above our heads.
That's
So
how loud.
that's how loud it was. It was like it was either that or it was a very bad windstorm just above our head. Like there was something that had wings and it was really being up in the trees. And so Matt, both of us we were too far backwoods to get out. Of course, I went into how are we going to get out of this? How did I get in another nightmare? How did I get him into another nightmare movie? That I'm not interested in. I've been prospecting and been in the woods all my life, and this is totally new stuff for us. And so control my breathing, make sure my heart didn't go up through my, trying to keep my heart under control and breathe. And because we couldn't talk, it stopped and it went pitch quiet. You couldn't even hear the river, which was a little ways away, but still you couldn't hear nothing. It was pitch dark and pitch dark, pitch quiet and pitch dark. And
So did the sound go away?
yeah, it just stopped.
Wow.
And it went pitch quiet. And I don't know what that was, but then what happened was I calmed down. I'd got my breathing under control, and I was expecting something to jump us. And I had a headlight in my right hand, and I thought, if it jumps us, at least I'm going to see it. I didn't have a gun or anything. He had a little 22 pistol that he keeps. That's all he had. He had a little 22 pistol, and because we was not, we were not familiar with monsters in the woods at all in my life. I've never run anything I was afraid of. But then what happened was, as we were laying there, and I just finally got my breathing under control, there was this digital beep 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 modem cricket thing that floats past us, going beep 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 beep. I don't know, right?
What
So
was-
I'm
What was
Hmm?
that?
yeah, we like I said, we don't know. I mean, I was already trying not to have a heart attack from something above my trees, and now I've got something. It floated past us, and when it went past us, it went down to where I was peeing, but and where the knife was, and it picked Matthew heard the knife go ting when it laid it back down
Into the pan.
into the pan. It was in a metal pan, and it set it back down in the pan. So, now I'm having a heart attack again. And he'll tell you it was the most horrifying experience we've ever had.
Right after the trees shake, there was nothing coming down.
Yeah,
It was silent.
there was nothing. It went silent. So my adrenaline was thinking, I got to fight. And then I remember it was just wearing me out. And I'm like, I've got to relax. I'm going to kill myself with adrenaline. I'm going to run out of my energy. I'm not going to be able to fight. So I was like, you got to calm down, and so, and just wait. Because, in my mind, how do we get out of here back to back? how can we do this? How can we do this? My mind was just racing, trying to figure out how to get out of here. We were, it's a really rocky area, and you can hardly get into the area during the daytime. So I knew we couldn't go out at night because it's just, you couldn't navigate it really. And so as we're absorbing that, there was this, later on, we hear this big boom, like a big boulder. But I've talked to you and I've talked to other readers, and what it was this is what we figured out was the giant. There was a giant that jumped, boom, and he landed. And in about 7 steps, we heard this thing go coming down the mountain, going douche, douche, douche. How many steps was it? Matthew remembers the exact numbers, but you could
4 steps, 4 different times.
4 steps, 4 different times. So you can hear it coming down the mountain. I was like, that's the fastest thing I ever heard of. Cause I mean, it come down, he came down the mountain. Now what he did was he came up behind this one tree. And at that time, Matt, I think you had I was laying down, and Matt heard it, and he pulled his gun out, and he kept his gun here on his chest, but he pulled it. He said right before you felt
if it was far enough away for me to tell Dad that I'm about to fire this gun in a very quiet voice, and then on its last 2 steps, where it's like far enough away where I could finish my conversation with Dad. If it took 1 more step, I was going to pull the hammer back 1 click and see how it would react. Well, it never took that 1 extra step for me to pull back the hammer 1 click. So I just sat there waiting for it to take 1 more step or another noise somewheres.
Wow.
I was going to have the gun fully ready. And that 1 click would have made a sound. I mean, it's so quiet in the woods. Whenever you do the slightest movement, that is the most loudest thing you can hear at night when it's that quiet. So it's kind of trippy at the time.
Yeah. So he was.
So what was going through your all's mind when all this was going down?
Yeah.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. Yeah, definitely. We knew we couldn't get out. I didn't pray. I normally, I'm like, I don't know what was going on. I should have. You think now, you go, dude, are you stupid? I didn't pray. I think now, why didn't you pray? I was trying to control my breathing. I know Matt would tell you that he stopped breathing. He's like, dude, I think he stopped his own heart.
Yeah,
because we were so scared. We were that panicked.
What time of the night did this happen? And I bet you couldn't wait for sunrise.
Yeah. Well, it was like I said, when that thing came running down, you heard him coming down the mountain, and then that went off. We woke up, I don't know, a little time later. I don't even know what time it was, but it was starting to get daylight, and there was this mad woodpecker. I've never heard a woodpecker raise hell. Now, this woodpecker, some readers say that it was what the giant followed away to go leave the place, but he had come down to help us from whatever was harassing us, as according to some of the other people that have, tried to help us understand what happened that night. And so that was the morning that we realized I was alive. We're still alive because it never did jump us. I thought, well, if it jumps, I'm going to fight. So I had my light, and I would kind of fall asleep every once in a while. I hear myself kind of snore or something, and I would wake up and, and still clenching that light, waiting for it. I figured it was going to jump us.
Wow.
I figured it was going to, jump on the tent at any time. And so after that, we was up probably the next week, because I'm not going to be run out of the woods, but we were loaded with weapons. We went back up, and we didn't go back to that spot. I've never slept on that spot again. And if anybody wants that spot, I'll tell you where it's at, because I won't go there. But anyway, we went back up, and we did sleep in a tent, but we looked like the military. We had weapons between our 2 cots out in the tent. We were loaded. And so we went up, and then things kind of, I've got about, I don't know, about 3 years of videos where the process that we went through. We went through a process of gifting and I've got a big bottle of you can get the bottle.
Yeah.
I got a bottle of bourbon supposedly from the giant as a gift. Now we
So
were going out and gifting. Huh?
Walk us through the gifting part.
Okay.
Yes.
We gotta show it.
Oh, yeah, he wants to show you his bottle of this was left for us out in the middle of the woods, and it's a bottle of bourbon Maker's Mark, and the label is dry, and we had gifted one night, and we're talking we hike a mile into Tennessee out of Kentucky to get to our location. It's actually in Tennessee, but I have to go through Kentucky to get to it. That's okay.
Okay.
And
So what are the gifts for?
Well, at the time, we didn't know anything about Bigfoots and stuff. I wasn't following no one. I wasn't following people's advice. I was going by my own intuition. And so we were taking out apples and stuff because we know that there's someone out there. And we knew that there's something out there with intelligence. And so we were putting out apples, and we were putting out pictures. We draw a picture, I drew us a picture. I mean, I got tons of video on, but I'll give you examples. I drew a picture, and it had a moon on it, and they fold the moon out. And then we had this one picture. I mean, this is things that they would do. Who folds paper? You know what raccoons fold paper? But anyway, they would take gifts, take apples, and we've got all these different things where they would do things with kind of communicate through paper, because we just draw different pictures. And
That's
they would
neat.
yeah. And I don't know, we were talking to forest people. I believe the giant was one that gave us the bottle from what we've got. But the amount of gifting we did and the amount of things they were communicating. Trying to think. We had this one piece of paper. What was it that you had?
A Bigfoot and a human side by side.
Well, the one that smelled.
Oh, that was the Bigfoot face drawing that you did.
Yeah, we had one, and we went up there the next morning. We'd put it out that night. We usually do one night up, and then because we're in Knoxville, so we could run up there and do it one night. And we had put this one piece of paper out, and the next day, Matt smells it, and he goes, "Holy crap! Smells like dirty dog." And I've got the video, but something had picked it up, and it smelled like dog. You can smell it. We still got it in a Ziploc bag. Wet dog, right?
The nasty smell to it.
Right.
So
Wow.
Gene Hudson is asking you, Tennessee, are you talking an actual giant?
Actual giant. Now the lady that I know several people that can channel. I know people that are psychics that can all those type of people. And we're talking. He was the lady that went and visited him. Of course, she ran off the first time, and she laughed and laughed. It's on Rumble. If you Google Rumble, you Google giant. It was reading for a giant on Rumble. I've got all my notes there from that person that read it. But anyway, this was a real man. He's a real man with real clothes, and he's really tall, crazy tall. I want to say above the trees.
Yeah.
And he exiled himself. I've got it all in that thing. He exiled himself for something he done. Now he's one. His name is Matt can channel people, and just recently we've been talking to him, and his name is George.
George the Giant.
George the Giant.
Wow.
And but he's trying to break the chains of the lies that's keeping mankind, and he wants information out there, and he's kind of motivated me. Now Scott is the Bigfoot that lives here in our area. We didn't even know, but we had him here as we made friends up in Kentucky, and but like I said, we've been on this property almost 30 years, and the Bigfoots here, they knew my father. Now I'm Cherokee blood, and they used to put rabbits in my father's. The guy that lives the Bigfoot that here, his grandfather used to put rabbits in my dad's traps. So
Wow.
we go long back. We go way back with these with
So
this with this.
You have a lineage going on.
Yeah. And they, they're helping us understand. They believe in Jesus. There's a whole lot of stuff that I'd love to talk about, and that's really I think, one of the main reasons I want to come on this show is I talk a lot in the chats, and I know people go, "What? That dude's crazy," because I can't. I say it's not slow disclosure; it's slow absorption, and you got to be careful what you say because people just say you're crazy, and that's the end of it. They won't listen to you, and I'm not. I just want people to know some of the things that we're learning, and share that stuff.
Not all Bigfoots believe in Jesus, but there's some that heard of his name and has stood up for him. They learned all their lessons through the works of Jesus that they learned many years ago.
Yeah, but that's important. I mean, that's if you think about it, this giant, he has exiled his family, and he's come up here. Now they live down underground, probably up there in Kentucky. Now, actually, Mammoth Cave runs all the way up to the North Pole. According to him, that's where he goes home to his family. So Mammoth Cave goes all the way up underground, all the way up to the North Pole.
Let's clarify: the giant is different than the Bigfoot.
Yeah, a giant. Yeah, the giant is actually a man that wears clothes.
Okay, a giant man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
you know how it is when we talk about giants.
How tall is a giant, roughly?
Shoot.
As tall as your tall tree, 100 foot.
100 foot, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe
I haven't actually asked him his size, but
50 foot.
Taller
than 40.
Yeah, I would think so. But I haven't seen them, of course. We've just, like I said, we've talked to people that have been able to read them. Michelle, when she ran into him, you can listen to the audio recording. It's all there. I got it all packed up. Where she's kind of like, she laughed. It scared her off, but she went back. She's a brave. She does that. Some people do that thing where they remote viewing. Yeah, she's good at that. And so yeah, that's the giant. And like I said, the alien thing, I don't know what that beep 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 digital beep. It sounded like a modem. Now, according to her, that was some kind of like mutant government drone that just kind of brainless thing that floats around in the wood scavenger. And I don't know if you feel anything about that, but it's kind of like that's what she thought that was.
And if it was connected to UFOs, it could have been like a probe.
Yeah, I would think something like that. Right.
That's what it feels like.
Well, we've got this one video where we found how many abandoned 9 abandoned tarps up in our area. And now Michelle says that they take helicopters and they drop off, unfortunately, mutant laboratory things. And a lot of them break their arms and legs falling in that area. I mean, I don't want to freak anybody out, but a lot of people have heard about LBL in that area. And I do believe that there's a lot of bad things that are been dumped out there by experiments, according to what, and like I said, we did find these tarps that were abandoned out there. And we're talking a mile out of Kentucky hike into Tennessee. And it's not somewhere anyone goes. If I took you there, you'd understand. So the type of creatures and things in those areas that we saw that morning, there was a 3-toe print, and Matt took a picture of it and he's like, "What do you think about that?" And of course I was aggravated because it didn't make no sense. I'm like, there's no ostriches out here. I thought it was just dumb, but it was true. There was a 3-toe print. There was also a big print where something had stepped over our fire pit, and it was a big, I don't know how big that foot was. It was huge, 14, 15 foot, I guess.
Wow.
But yeah.
So lots of strange things out there in the woods.
Yeah. Up there in Kentucky was, I don't go up there anymore. I mean, I will. I try to go out there. I try to take people out there, but I can't get anybody to go with me. I don't know why. People say they want to go, but when it comes time to get there,
it's like, how about chicken?
But I'm sure I'll get some people out there. I think there's a lot of things to study out there, I would think. And like I said, yeah, we're kind of comfortable now. I've learned so much, especially from Scott. You know, he's like I say, he's a Bigfoot that he's here with a lot of his family. His family's here now. They're farmers. They're forest farmers. They take care of the deer and the turkey. They take care of them. They herd them. They take care of them. They move them when the hunters come in. And his family has been around here a long time. And some of the little ones that they're watching is actually some of the babies from Janice Carter's family. And we had actually one of the friend that's in Australia, Chloe, one of our readers, Scott, our Bigfoot, went and visited her in a dream. And so she calls me up the next day or messaged me up the next day and said, "You guys got a family of Bigfoots out there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I told you this." And she's like, "Well, they came and visited me and they really appreciate what you guys are doing for," because we try to keep the hunters out and we try to, take care of them. So we try to protect them. So it's I can go in the woods now because I don't have to worry about, I've got a giant and Bigfoot friend. I am covered.
And Jesus.
And Jesus. My wife wanted to make sure and Jesus. I'm covered. I've got, and I don't have to have weapons. It's wonderful. Now the PTSD is gone. Now that we know that we actually have friends in the woods and physical and Jesus. So, good on that.
So
but yeah, it's been a long ride. And I think in the last year, it's been just more and more information that I want to tell people about,
Now, do you plant crops for your friend Scott, the Bigfoot family?
Yeah, no. We just started talking to him probably this year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Probably this year. Now Scott tried to put his turkeys with our chickens, but Matthew shot at their turkey with a bow.
You told me to shoot them again.
Well, I know, but you weren't supposed to. Anyway, he shot at their turkeys, and now their turkey. He said, and Scott, the Bigfoot says, he says the turkeys don't forgive, and so they tried to mix they wanted their turkeys to hang out with our chickens, to help with us and them.
Yeah.
It's really funny how I would say the big, people always ask the difference between Bigfoot and Sasquatch, and I didn't know this, but I've talked to Scott about it. Now, Bigfoots are more heart, more pure DNA. Your Sasquatches, they were mixed. They're kind of an ET mix. Bigfoot came from Atlantis, so that they're more interested in, the Sasses are like tinkerers. They like to observe and look and think. Whereas, where Bigfoots are more heart based. They're family based. They believe in, they're more spiritual. They stay strong in their spirit, and so there's a big difference. So I'm always trying to make sure people understand the huge difference between a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot, and the dangers.
Good to know.
But yeah, we've had fun, and we're still having fun. And I would love to answer any questions, because I know there's a lot of people in the chat, and anything you guys want to talk about, because like I said, the topics go on. And I put in the chat a few weeks ago that my Bigfoots walk through malls, and that mall incident down there. I know Grizzly might think it's a hoax, but I'm scratching my head, because isn't that weird that I had talked about that, and I don't know.
Only reason
and when we did
is because I know Miami Dade officers down there, and I actually met with them after the incident, and I made an announcement last week on the show when I first saw it, and when the officers were leaving the mall, somebody was recording the group of officers, and this is what was said: "Officers, what happened?" And he said, "Aliens," and he laughed, and it ran. And I said that night it was going to be a plethora of videos, and it happened. So yes, and and it turned out to be so. Yeah, but it was very interesting. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and like I said, they our Bigfoots walk through malls. That's how they practice their abilities. They walk through malls. You understand?
Wow.
I mean, isn't that amazing? And so, even though that that might be a hoax. The thing is it's something going there. There could be there should be some coordinations though of what was happening there. So I'm just keep my eyes open on that kind of stuff. Jesus taught the Bigfoots how to walk through hell, and hell is a vacation spot for them. They love going there. There's all these glowing creatures, and they told us about the food they eat down there and all that kind of stuff. But
they got algae that'll heal you.
Yeah, they got algae. They're very rapid at healing. And if you read that document, that Miller document that Val had the other night, which I posted out there, you read that document, he tells you that they're very fast self-generating. In that Miller document, he went out to investigate one of the Bigfoots, and he was pretty mad because the Bigfoot was coming back to life, and they said he was dead. And they do regenerate. They actually use this algae stuff that's down. Basically, they consider hell a place that what we would consider hell, but it's not fire. It's just full of all kinds of creatures that glow, ET stuff and all that kind of stuff. So a normal person would be freaked out there. But if without fear, it's a playground.
I mean, think about it. If you're able to lose your arm and then put it back on with some algae and you didn't felt no pain, didn't hurt, and you realize your arm works, I mean, is that hell to you, or is it just like, well, you got more of an understanding about your situation?
Yeah, I try not to get too far what you call fantasy, because half the people are going to say, man, I'm out of here. These guys are really jumping off the ship. Because, I mean, it is slow absorption to for me, it takes time to even put this stuff in your head and try to make sense out of this stuff.
Well, it's definitely very interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. I want to talk about it. And that's the thing is, so does George and Scott. They really do believe that humanity is tied up in lies, and they're over it. They want these truths to come out. They want to get rid of the lie, because the humans are chained. People are chained by all these lies, and I'm I'm with them. If they're willing to speak and come on the show, I know you've got like Jean down in there, Chad. If you can ever get her on the show, she's, I understand that a lot of people do not want to speak, but that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm motivated by Scott and George. I'm motivated by, trying to break some of these lies, that have humans basically running in fear and under control, which is, I think a lot of the stuff is being broke, but so that's important.
It's nice that you made friends with them and you know them.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't want to get too far into fantasy, because like I said, I start talking. See, Matt, he was able to talk. He started channeling like trees, and there's wonderful stuff. We learned so much about trees. It blew my mind. And I could do a whole show on just trees, especially, all we learn on trees, just wow. And the trees have all the history in them. One tree was telling us, I'm going to just give you an example. I mean, I got videos. I can't put them on YouTube. They're unlisted because I don't want to put too much out, because I don't know, a lot of people probably hate me for saying the things I do, or, you know how it is. But like one tree was telling us about how the people came through there, and they even told us where there's probably a wagon wheel that where the wagon had broke down. The trees know everything. And like I say, he started reading trees, and then over time, he eventually starts Scott, which was the Bigfoot. That's what we call him. That was exciting to actually start talking to Scott. But we have, like, for example, we have a potato that's in my fireplace room. It's in the dirt. Well, that potato was up in the garage, and we were drinking our coffee, and the potato was complaining that it wanted to be in dirt. And the potato's name is Mozart, because he liked this song we were playing.
Blinded by the light.
Blinded by the light. And so anyway, this potato's name is Mozart.
Go-kart.
Mozart go-kart. Anyway, And the other day, we're down here at the house, and light language has no, it has no distance. It just, and so the potato's like, it's cold up here, and they got a sense of humor. Everything does. The trees have a sense of humor. It's really funny. And so I told him, I said, okay, we'll bring you down tomorrow. And he's loving it. It's just a potato in a bucket of dirt, as stupid as it is, but we've got close to it, and we'll eat like a radish or something. And the radishes are laughing when you eat them. It's really funny. Sorry. You guys are going to say, okay, this guy's doing acid. They're out there. They're.
And we know. We're freaking sober.
Well, Kelly's a psychic, so she understands crazy. So that's really why I wanted to come on this show, because Grizzly's wonderful at keeping everybody involved and organizing all this. And so I was like, man, and the Bigfoot communities have a lot of problems. And so over here, I was able to get away from, there's a few Bigfoot people in here, but you don't have a whole lot, but you got a lot more psychics and stuff and people that are intuitive and channelers. And so I felt a lot more comfortable coming here and being able to talk. And, I have invited a few of my Bigfoot friends to come to the show tonight because, I'm sure they're going to be like surprised that I'm going to go out and talk, but I'm going to talk.
But thank you. Well, the Native American Indian people believe that everything has a soul and everything knows things, and trees are intelligent. I mean, a tree gives off red energy, as what I see as a psychic. And when a tree bends down, a branch hits you, it's the tree trying to give you a hug.
Yeah, that's neat. We had one tree, the muscadine. I might make those public. I'll think about it. And now that I've come out, I could probably make a few videos public. But I got this one. We were moving a muscadine that had reached up and got that tree's limb. And we talked to the tree, said, "You want that?" And he's like, "No, get him off of me." And the tree, as Matthew was hanging and pulling the muscadines, the tree was laughing, saying, "Harder, harder, harder, pull it down." And we just had a blast with that tree. And the tree, a lot of times we'll talk to a tree and say, do you want that limb removed? And they'll say, "Please, I got one tree out here that wants us to take him down. He's done. He's an old tree. He's got a sense of humor." And he's like, "I'm done, guys." And we're like,
he's like the old fucker that just like goofing off.
He's a goofer. Yeah, he's hilarious. Like, but we're not going to cut him down. But he's like, "I'm done. I want you guys cut me down. Use me." They love to be used. Trees love to be used, and plants love to be used. Everything's got unconditional love. They give themselves. Trees will give themselves to another tree. One tree beside another tree, they will give their life so the other tree can have its roots. That's when Jesus was out in the woods for 40 days and 40 nights, that's because he was out there with all that love, all that love. That's what I believe.
So the question is, how do you tell a Bigfoot from a Sasquatch?
I can just give you their characteristics. I can't give you their looks, because, but like I said, the only characteristics I would say like I said, is the fact that sassies are curious, so they will.
They're in your business.
They're in your business. See, Bigfoot's believe in stay in your own business. You know how many times if we talk to Scott on a topic he doesn't like, he'll say it's none of your business.
He says, "Mind your business."
Mind your business. Now, Bigfoots are big about mind your business. Take care of your family. Take care of your children. Their heart. They're pure DNA. They're not mixed. The sassies, since they were mixed with ETs, they're more curious. So they're tinkiers. They get in trouble.
They like to grab things and move it and change it up, change its form or whatever. Yeah. They like to play with their toys. Bigfoot's minds their own business. Yeah. And if they have a toy to play with, they'll play with it. Yeah. But they mind their business.
But yeah, that's the best way I can explain it. That's the best way I've figured it out from what we've been told.
Yeah. And they take their they don't take any human, like if
Bigfoot won't take something from a man. Yeah. I mean, they don't want anything from men. They don't really. I mean, but if I give them, it's weird. Okay, I'll try to explain that one, but that's a hard one to explain. Okay. But yeah, what else? You got more questions? Because I love the questions. Because I mean, I know we only have. I know you run a tight show, so
No, you did great. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me. Like I said, I've got a lot to say, and I definitely want to get it out there. And
Calf
know
is
that-
asking, do you think sassies travel differently than footies?
I don't think so. I think they all. Well, they basically. I know our Bigfoot. We're up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and my mother lives down in LJ, Georgia, and we went down for Thanksgiving, and Scott says, "Hey, you want me go with you?" And we're like, "Sure." He run down to LJ, Georgia. Now what he does is this is what we kind of understand. We have a big green patch of trees. Now green evergreens are neutral energy. So if you're going to come and go from physical, do it around cedar trees or evergreens because they're neutral energy. And so this is what I believe. He will be up there, but in his mind, he travels, spiritually. He leaves his body and he goes. See, that's why they're not going to actually take their body along. That's the dumbest thing ever when you're traveling, to take your body, since, they know how to do it. And so he was coming down to Georgia, and then we got down to my mother's house, and I'm like, "Where's Scott at?" And he had run into a dog man, and they love running with dog men. They just love running with them because it's fun, because dogs are fast. And this doesn't mean they're enemies or anything.
He just loved the run.
He just loves to run, and he got to playing with dog man. He was late, but he came on. He eventually showed up, and he was out in that area of LJ, Georgia. But that's how they travel pretty much. They kind of, they travel in spirit. They go pure spirit, which means they basically leave their bodies.
Okay.
Right? That makes sense. So that's how they can walk through the mall. They practice that. That's how they practice spirituality. By the time a Bigfoot is 2 years old or 2 weeks old, they're already able to walk in hell.
Wow.
Oh, he's gone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was awesome.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know either.
But from coast to coast around the world, everybody, have a good night. Take care.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you very much.